Hi, I'm Dr. Kathleen Walls.
And I'm Puka Kahane from Me Curator Art Gallery in St. Lucia.
And you're watching the PIFF Connection on UCCN TV.
I'm beautiful because God made me that way and He's the best. So I say that I am beautiful in my own way.
I think we're beautiful, don't you think? I think you are. I know I am. So beautiful, so beautiful, just like the stars. Nappy Hill, 5'1", brown skin, I've been kissed by the sun. Round face, acne, curl waist and a pot belly, but I know I'm beautiful, beautiful. I know I'm beautiful, beautiful.
Well, Hotep family,
There we
Hotep,
go.
peace and blessings. I greet you in the name of God and the ancestors, in whose footsteps I most humbly walk, his brother Ed Mojo for the PIFF Conversations. You know what? I have known this sister for a few years now. I love her work. Those who know me have me say it all the time. I'm a big fan of what she does. She's based in Botswana. And you know what? You're going to see more of her in PIFF 2021. We're planning to do some really wonderful things with her. She is a seriously independent sister doing some powerful things in her homeland. And you guys know me, I love working with independent women who are powerful, who are focused. And so I'm looking to bring her into PIFF more so in 2021 because she has a story to tell. And I want to hear her story. I want to share her story with the global community. So I'm really happy to welcome her onto the station. We're going to talk to her, have a conversation with her about who she is, what she does, why she does it, and all kinds of good stuff. Now, I cannot pronounce her last name yet. I'm still working on it, family. I'm still getting my African tongue going. But her first name, I could get the first name. Her first name is Neo. I was saying
Yes.
Neo. She said it's not Neo, it's Neo. So I'm going to say Neo. Welcome to the PIFF Conversations live from Botswana.
Thank you so much for having me, Ed. This is such an honor. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for taking time. And for those who are watching, Botswana is 7 hours ahead of us. So it's 12:18 here in New York, in the eastern coast of the United States. And so, it's after 7 o'clock at nighttime, their time. So she's just came from work. It's Christmas season over there, the December 23rd. So, so let's talk to her a little bit about, first, Neo,
Yes.
let's talk about your education. What happened when you were growing up that made you want to be in the film industry, a film creator? What happened when you were growing up?
Okay. Before I jump right into that, let me just say thank you again for this amazing opportunity. So growing up was very interesting for me because I grew up as an only child for 13 years. So I was literally the apple of my parents' eye. And I was blessed enough to have parents that let me explore and let me just be adventurous. And I also realized that, I'm quite good at a lot of different things, a lot of creative things, and even sports as well. I was not so bad at school, but it was not really my favorite thing if I was honest. I mean, I would pass, but it wasn't like, the main goal at the end of the day. As long as I pass and I don't repeat any classes, that was fine with me. So my education centered around, my parents wanted the very, very best for me, so that by the time that became a young adult, around 18 or so, I could be independent and I could choose whatever career path that I wanted. So that's why I was very happy that at least they allowed me from a very young age to just explore whatever it is that I wanted to explore. And one thing that I realized is that that we had so many different activities, so many different clubs, so many different recreational things for us to do at school. So one of the things that really interested me was drama. I remember that English literature was one of my favorite subjects because, when it came to storytelling, I was good at reciting stories or reciting poetry because I had a very active imagination as a child. So I would always imagine all these weird characters, all these weird costumes, all these weird settings. And I'd always be intrigued because I legit thought it was a magical power. How can someone write something that seems so real, but I know that it's not real. I think that's where my fascination with animation came in, because I would literally look at cartoons as if it's magic. And and that really got me thinking, how is all of this done? It's not possible that a dog is speaking fluently, but it's speaking. And I get it. I connect with it. I'm a human being. My pet dog can't say anything, but the one that I'm seeing on TV can speak. So what kind of magic, what kind of magic is this? And that really, and for so long I legit thought there was magic somewhere. And so I kept on exploring. I was obsessed with cartoons, and then I became so obsessed with storytelling, because traditionally what we do here in Botswana is that when we are with our extended family members during holidays, we would sit outside under the stars, and our grandparents would recite stories to us around a nice big bonfire, and everyone would get so intrigued, seeing your grandmother in character, seeing your uncle in character, and they're just trying to relay the story. Their voices change, their mannerisms change. It's no longer grandma, it's the donkey that they're trying to portray. And I honestly thought that only people with special powers can do that. And I remember I wanted that so bad for myself. And I think that's where my love for drama came in, because I thought it was magic, and I was obsessed with not being a normal human. I was obsessed with having powers of my own. So that basically set the tone for my crazy crazy path here in drama, because I legit thought that it was magic. So high school, I took it as one of my main activities. I would perform, sometimes I would write. And then when I had an opportunity to finish high school and start university in South Africa, immediately it was my first subject choice. And mind you, my parents' background is very, very different. They are not they're not creative.
They're in the creative arts.
They're not creative, not even close. They didn't get it, but I had to really convince them to trust me. I literally had to beg them trust me, because they knew that at the end of the day I was going to do it without their permission. But as long as I could get one of them to just say, you may not get it, but just trust me. Just trust me. It is crazy. I know it as well. Trust me. I didn't just dive into this. I knew that, okay, now are you seriously choosing this as your career? Mo Botswana, who do you know that has made it big as a creative in this country? But I went for it anyway, because there was just something that was just driving me and driving me and driving me to do this. It wasn't because of the magical powers anymore. There was something that felt like a purpose for me to do this. And I could understand what the power of storytelling on a very deeper level. I could understand the power of even the healing you get from creating characters. I could understand so much about the world of the arts on a deeper level, not the superficial ones that we see and we're just entertained and engaged for an hour, 2 hours in the cinema. I understood the spiritual and thought process that it takes to be a creative. And I owed it to myself not only be accredited in it, but to grow in it, so that when I start creating professionally, it is more than a superficial level, because I want the same impact that I experienced as a child, where I literally thought that this was magic. I want my art to have the same impact as well, because it literally changed my life. Because as human beings, we are faced with the constant realities every day. But then if for a moment your perspective can literally shift for 2 hours, and you disengage with everything else that happens, and you're just sucked into this world of wonder and possibilities. What it can do to you internally is so powerful.
Yeah.
And I needed that for myself throughout my schooling. I needed that, and with the power of God, I managed to obtain my BA in Fine Arts and Theatre Arts in 2014, and then I completed my honors in writing and directing film in 2018. So all of that just shows that there's more to art than just engagement. There's a deeper level that requires a dedication and commitment that you can only get if you just sacrifice yourself as a creative and just agree to learn even after you finish school.
Yeah. I'm listening to you talking, I'm smiling inside because what you're saying, we hear a lot of young people say the same thing over here. And this tells us that, this is a global action movement. When the creative people want to do some of the sacrifices and what you guys go through, what we go through in the creative arts, because sometimes you don't have, sometimes both parents or your parents say no. But in your case, at least they didn't understand it, but they supported you, and because they did, you are where you are, and you're doing what you're doing today. And we had a lot of little children. Over here in the States, you see when you're a little boy or a little girl, sometimes you dress up as Superman or Batman or the superheroes, you think, and all this stuff. So when I hear you talk about how did that voice come out? That my dog don't talk, but the dog on TV talks. And that's the creative side of what we say. We say in Africa, the griot, the storyteller. As you embrace that griot energy, you start to see it in a different light. And as I'm listening to you, that's what I hear coming out of you. And that's probably one of the reasons I'm one of your big fans, because I love what you do. Because I've been watching you for the last few years, so I definitely like what you're doing. So so I like what you talk about education. So young people who are listening to us understand that you need the education. Go to school, get the education, and make the education part of your journey. So that way you have the standards. You know what's going on and stuff like that. So I love hearing you say that. And, now so your parents you had support from your parents, your community. So let's talk about what were some of the first things you did, some of the goals that you set when you going into college. Because you said you went to school in South Africa, so I guess you went there after apartheid. Was that after that? So that's after apartheid.
Yeah, it was way after, because apartheid in South Africa, they got their first democratic election in 1994.
Right.
So that was a long time ago. When I first went there, it was 2008. So it was way after apartheid. Yeah.
So how was your goals? Some of the goals. Let's talk about some of the goals you had, and those that you have completed, and how did those affect you moving forward? And she's like,
when I went to South Africa, it was primarily because the course there was no drama being offered in any university here in Botswana, first of all. And, South Africa has a rich cultural history and heritage where, the arts is so important in South Africa, because the arts also advocated for the struggle and the liberation of the Blacks. So that is why it's very entrenched in the South African culture and community. It's so well safely guarded, and it's part of, and it forms part of their pride as well. And what that has created, it has created an industry where not only are people dedicated in their craft, but it is also regulated in the sense that everyone has a fair shot of producing and creating and distributing. I'm not sure if I should say on an equal level, but everyone has that equal opportunity and resources available to make it happen. Whereas my country is very rich in cultural heritage as well, very, very rich. But in comparison to South Africa, it's still a very small industry. key players attributed to our population. But population aside, like I said, drama was not offered as an actual, course, as an actual subject in schools. It was just available as, extracurricular activity, like recreation, basically. It only got offered as an actual course in the university, I think in 2010. Yeah, I was part of the pioneering group for the Bachelor of Arts in Theatre and Theatre Arts here in Botswana, 2010. So, as an industry, in terms of regulation, in terms of recognition, if I can even say that, because we still, creatives here struggle with the mentality that other people have. Other people don't think being a creative is an actual profession that you can go to school for it, study and actually make a living out of it. But it's part of what we face here every day. So my goal was to basically take the existing reality, the existing landscape here in Botswana, where I'm probably going to go through a few loops and some hurdles in order to make it as a creative here. But my goal was to always maintain a high standard. That my goal was to add quality to the work that I'm doing. And by adding quality and being consistent, that's where you start to slowly impact on change. Because if someone sees that you're doing something, even if it's different, even if they don't understand it, but once they see your dedication to the art, your sacrifice to the art, your constant advocacy for the art, they will not only start to see that, okay, she's clearly not going to let this go. Because with consistency, that's how results also come about. Because you don't just try once and just because it didn't work, you give up. Sometimes consistency requires 10 years of doors being shut, doors being closed, but you still need to produce anyway. So the goal, for me, the number one goal has always been about being the very, very best, which is why I advocate for learning. My work doesn't just stop just because I graduated from school. I'm still gonna go back to school. My work doesn't stop just because I have a 9 to 5 and I have a small company that I'm running on the side. Even networking is part of the job, is part of the growth, is part of the learning. Being the very best should be it has been my absolute goal from the get-go, because I realized that I was faced with so much opposition, not just from family, but even the community that doesn't, because when someone doesn't understand what you're doing, they try and get you away from it. Because in their minds are thinking, no one has ever done it. What makes you think that you're so special that you will do it? Stop wasting your time. Let's just go back to.
They think they're doing you a favor.
Yeah, like, let's just go back to normal now. Yeah. It is what it is. It's going to be like this in Botswana anyway, and blah blah blah. Yeah. But I'm a very stubborn and rebellious person.
Let's not say stubborn. Let's just say your focus.
I'm stubborn with what I'm trying to do, because it may come from a good place, but at the end of the day, my response is, how do you know unless I try? Because I don't mind failing. I failed before, but the reason why we fail is so that we can see the steps that we miss, so that we can improve, and eventually we will get it. And then once we get it, that's where the change affects everyone. And once you realize that it's also bigger than just you yourself, because at first I thought I'm going to just fulfill this purpose, this dream. Years later, whilst I was still in this journey, I realized that this thing is bigger than me. And I realized that there are actually people who are actually looking at what I'm doing, because I honestly thought that I'm just doing me. No one is noticing. It's only just me and God in this journey. And then when you start getting people who are saying, you know that now I've been following you, or can you come and do this interview? Can you help me with this? Can you mentor me? You know, so because of my goal of being the very best at what I can do, and also you can't just be the best, you also have to accept that it's going to take time, and you need to sacrifice, and you need to be disciplined, and you need to stop being impatient, and God will bless you when it's time to bless you. So until that happens, you still have to be the best anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that is what you just said is so powerful. I know there's a lot of people who are going to be watching this and they're going to be saying, yes, yes, yes. They're going to be falling. And I just want to say, this is why, family, I'm a big fan of hers. She's been determined. We've been talking for years about us coming together and doing some work. And hopefully in 2021, you will see us together doing some work together, because she has a powerful, powerful story to tell. I like what she brings to the table. You know, she's just a cool sister. And as you could hear her talking, and you see and I'm going to try. I'm working very hard to get some of her content that she has done in the years to put out there so people could see her work. And you know, since I have an office in Zimbabwe, I have an office in Botswana, where I'm working very closely with the creative people over there where I can. We're going to be doing some more things over in the central southern part of Africa, because there are some awesome artists like her out there doing this. And as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about, you know, some of the stuff I've seen you done before. And I know you have traveled outside of Africa. Weren't you in Italy or something like that a few years back, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, 2018 I was in Chile actually, but I would love to go to Italy.
Now, what was going on in Chile?
Okay, so Chile, I was at the Women's International Playwrights Conference. It happens every 3 years. It's hosted by the African Women Playwrights Network. It is an NGO organization that is basically the hub for where African women playwrights can connect with each other, interact, you know, share work, collaborate. So every 3 years, they choose a different country to host this conference. It's a week long. So what happens is that women playwrights from all over the world, they go there, and if their work is selected, their plays are dramatized using the actors of that particular hosting country. So I was very fortunate enough that in Africa, my play was one of the 10 which was selected to grace the stage in Chile. And the Chilean actors were there performing it in Spanish, and it was directed in Spanish. It's funny how I couldn't, when I was there watching it interpreted in Spanish, I couldn't hear, but because of the performance and the action that was going on, I knew exactly what was going on in the story. Yeah. Like even the actors, when it came to the emotions, because I understood what was supposed to be happening at that particular scene, it was just breathtaking. So I was very honored. It was one of the biggest highlights of my journey as a creative, to have your work selected out of many talented works that were submitted, because each continent, only a few plays were selected. So you can imagine that in Africa, wow, mine made the top 10, which was shocking.
Now, what was your play about?
Motlhala. It's called Motlhala. Motlhala means, like a path, like a footpath, like a trail.
A trail.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just basically a story about, a young man who's struggling with balancing pleasing his heritage, his birthright, versus him growing into a new man where he can make his own decisions, and having to balance between, do I choose my birthright, my heritage, or do I create my new identity? And in his dilemma, and trying to do the right thing, because there's also a level of maturity that comes into play, especially when you're a young person and you come from a background where there's a lot of expectations, there's a lot of things that that are awaiting you in terms of responsibilities. But then as you grow, you want to explore because you're stimulated by new things, you're stimulated by ideas and what ifs. I've never been to this place before. What if I take this new journey? But as a result of that, in our world of navigating where we come from and who we want to become, there's a trail that unfortunately is there, constantly behind us, and we leave behind breadcrumbs subconsciously without realizing that. And so the trails that we leave behind, like our footprints, we can ultimately turn back and use them to guide us back home to safety, or we can look at them as things that this has been holding me back for so far, and then you just continue with the journey anyway.
Oh, very cool. I like it. I like it. I like it. So,
Yeah.
So let me ask, for those who are listening and all the new fans that you're getting right now as they listen to you speak, how do people get in touch with you? Before you answer that question, pronounce your last name for me nice and slow.
Okay, full name is Neo. You spelled Neo. My last name is Kebiditswe. I'll say that very slowly. It's it's Kebiditswe.
Okay.
So yeah, in terms of spelling, it's Kebiditswe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I want people who are listening, they're going to ask me. And so now that you said it, they don't have to ask me anymore. They can just listen to the video and you say it yourself. So, so how do people find you on social media?
Okay, on Facebook, I have two pages. It's my personal page, and I recently created, my professional page. My professional page is Neo_loves, LOVES, Neo loves, because I'm a lover of many, many things. I'm a lover of life. My personal page is Neo Kebiditswe, but I'm also on LinkedIn, full name as well, Neo Kebiditswe. My email address is neo.kebiditswe@gmail.com.
Thank you for putting that out there. I want the young people, the young girls who might be watching you, be able to reach out, on your social media and see what you're doing. So let me ask you, so what future projects should we see coming out of Neo soon?
I had projects lined up this year, and then COVID said you must ask. So, oh man, I was actually scheduled to speak in Berlin this past July, Germany. I had a paper which was selected for an African conference. Basically, that will be speaking about the African, the diaspora, and just how, just basically how African writing and the effect of, the contemporary world that we live in, how does that play into African writing right now. So unfortunately, that has been postponed, but I'm hoping that sometime next year, we will still be able to even do that virtually. I'm also been fortunate enough to have been selected for another Women's Playwright International Conference, this time in Canada. It was scheduled for this year. COVID said you must ask. So it's going to be in 2022 in Canada. So that's the more long-term project. Right now, I'm still working as an online content producer. So I'll be producing a lot of content online. I'm also going to be venturing in teaching as well, lecturing, like formal classroom. And I can't believe that I'm actually going to be in the whole office scenario, something that I ran away from for many, many years, but it's here, it's found me. So that's another project that I'll be doing immediately next year. But other than that, I plan to also finally publish my book. Just my journey as a creative so far, and in that book I'm also going to be including a play. And the last thing that I'm really going to be also engaging in is speaking, public speaking. Because I think that's another journey that I need to take as well as a creative. I can't just hide behind my laptop or my tablet with, you know, typing amazing little plays and scripts. I also need to speak about it. So yeah, those are my future projects for now.
Oh,
If I think of think of anything, I'll let you know.
PIFF.
Yes.
Piff, piff, piff.
Well, I think it's a lot because I don't want to. I think there's a lot that's going to happen. It's just, you know, trying to remember the ones that I rehearsed just before this interview. But definitely there will be a lot of theater projects and film and now online projects as well, and teaching. Jeez, I can't believe I'm going to be teaching.
See that? You ran away from it, but you were actually running to it.
Yeah, God has a sense of humor.
Yes, he does. And he needs you in the classroom for a reason.
Okay.
So, Neo, as I listen to you speak, you talk, as a young lady in Southern Africa doing some positive things, what advice can you give to other young creative people in globally, not only in Africa, but globally? What kind of advice would you give them?
The advice that I would give young women particularly, is basically, let me just keep it real with them. There is going to be a lot of challenges, primarily because of our gender. But we need to look at the overall picture. The overall picture is basically being the best version of yourself, no matter what it is that you want for your life. Yes, there'll be challenges, you'll be undermined a lot. And sometimes even us as women, we undermine each other. But if you go back to the bigger picture, if you go to the drawing board and remind yourself what it is that you are trying to accomplish, what it is that you are trying to achieve, and everything will melt away. So that's my first advice to young women. Own your truth, own your identity, own your dream, and focus on the bigger picture, and be disciplined enough to go after what it is that you want, because the challenges will be there, and whatever new level that you will be on, the new level also unlocks a newer kind of stress level. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. Weed constantly grows with beautiful things that you've already planted in your garden. It's just a reality that we can't escape. But the bigger picture has to remain being the best version of yourself possible, and ignoring and just doing away with the distractions and just staying focused and disciplined.
I like when you said know your truth. I like that part. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I thank you for your time today, and being able to talk to you,
Ed.
and finally got a chance to introduce you to our global community like this. I've been trying for years. So we were able to get her, coronavirus locked her down for us, and now we got her.
This virus needs to go.
Yeah, so but let's tell. So what's going on in Botswana with the virus right now? How's things in Botswana with coronavirus?
I think for us, obviously, in comparison with other countries, it's not as a disastrous, situation on a grand scale, but it's there are definitely cases where it's alarming. I mean, our movements are not like before. We can't travel easily as before. We need to get permits if you want to go to the other part of Botswana, because there are different zones. The country has been divided into different zones now. So if you want to go to a different part of the country, you just need a permit for that. It has affected, I think, the culture shock of not being able to do what you've been doing all these years, the shock of now being monitored in terms of laws that are in place to make sure that you wear a mask, or laws that are in place to make sure that everyone complies. If you don't comply, you get fined, and it's that serious. So we are still adjusting. We are in survival mode. It could have been a lot worse, but unfortunately, it's at a point where I feel a lot of us are also in panic mode, especially the creatives, because the creative industry in Botswana has not yet been opened. A lot of artists are out of jobs. They've been out of jobs since March. No one is making money. There are no events. And there's only so much that you can do, especially when it comes to using the internet, because internet here is not like other countries where there's Wi-Fi all over the place, free, readily available. Here it's very expensive, very, very expensive, and you can only do so much in a short period of time as well. Like right now, even this interview, I had to pay, a lot of money just to get a 1 gigabyte worth of data to use for Wi-Fi, just so I can have this interview. And not everyone can afford internet right now. It's that bad. So you can imagine for creatives who rely heavily on events and exhibitions and fairs and festivals, like they're not working. No one is working. No one is making money right now. There's only a handful who are trying to make it and network through the internet. But yeah, it's just not looking good right now.
No, I just
Yeah.
wanted you to say something from your perspective for people who are listening around the globe, our global community, on how the coronavirus, COVID-19 has affected the arts in Botswana, because you are actually living it. So it's not like the news telling us that you're actually walking it every day, because you are a creative person in Botswana. So thank you for sharing that with us and stuff.
Thank you.
No, thank you for everything you have told us. Your projects, your goals, and so now we know much more about Neo, and so I'm happy to have you on board. And for those who are listening, she is part. Let's make it very clear. She is part of the PIFF family. She's been supporting me for years in Botswana. I call her, she helps me, gives me contacts in Botswana all the time, and she's always there for support me. So I just want people who are watching this to be very clear. She is part of the PIFF family. You see on the PIFF page, and in 2021, hopefully you will see more of her work in PIFF, and we're really excited about that. So, Sister Neo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Ed.
It's always, I'm a fan of yours, so you better. I'm looking for some more content from you, okay? From what we talked about before,
Most definitely.
Okay? So let's get that going, okay?
Most definitely.
Well, so thank you so much, and I'm going to say good night to you now. Tell your family and tell all your friends I said hello, okay?
I will. Thank you so much for having me, and let's just keep this whole thing going. Let's just keep it going.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, sis. So good night and be safe over there. Enjoy the holidays.
Same as you. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Maybe short